This is The Democrat Detective, a channel where fellow Democrats can come and get a clear understanding on the political topics they're seeing reported in the media. For my first video, I plan to go into detail regarding the Don't Say Gay bill and what it really says. But while researching the subject, I came across some very troubling behavior of one Mr. Pete Buttigieg and his husband. So things got a little sidetracked, and the bill will be in the second video. For this first one, I will make the argument and successfully prove that Mr. Pete and his husband and the Trevor Project have been falsifying data for several years to garner public sympathy to move personal agendas. So let's get into it. All right. Exhibit A. On January 22nd, 2022, Chasten appeared on MSNBC with Jonathan Capehart to lie about the Florida bill. He made the strong claim passing the bill will kill kids. What does he bring to support this statement? Data from an online survey conducted in 2019, of course, of the ages 13 through 21. Now remember, the bill is K through third. Notice the graph is mysteriously not fully labeled, as any professional graph would be. So the data for this graph was pulled from a survey conducted by Gleason from April through August 2019. There's no confirmation made of the recipients taking this survey, so the data is extremely unreliable. It's an online survey. It's an online poll. It can be used for some things, but on a major news network to push a major, agenda. This is just a small example of his deception, though we are going to get into the Fox News-worthy stuff soon. So stay with me. Exhibit B. From the same broadcast, some more data comes up and is shown. Now, this number 42%, I'm going to tell you right off, it's bad data, and I'll fully explain why shortly. In fact, all the data on this that you see on the screen now, it's all unreliable, but I'll get to that. The data isn't extremely old. It was collected October 12th, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. But again, he sort of misrepresents the dates in the tweet. It's a common practice of his, but here the data is only a little over a year old. So it's not too horrible, not the biggest problem we run into. The biggest problem is the quality of the data, and it's not good. So all the numbers you see here on the screen were pulled from the same survey, the Trevor Project National Survey on LGBTQ Youth Mental Health 2021. The data is actually from 2020, but that's not a major offense. Exhibit C. A future video will go into more detail on the numerous errors found in the survey, but I do want to mention that they didn't include any information on the IRB who reviews and approves the survey, which is odd, especially for the wild claims they make. It was an online survey with almost no controls in place, no way to verify the recipients, recruited through social media, everything was anonymous. The entire survey needs to be redone for any chance at reliable results. It's an absolute mess of epic proportions, but I'll go into that in a future video. Exhibit D. And here is how they are conjuring up their faulty data and trying to warrant their results. They're comparing two questions with the 2019 CDC Youth Assessment, a test taken by high school students around the country. It's how they justify their entire survey by making a flimsy comparison to the YSRB is where they are knowingly being very deceptive and have been for several years. In fact, these numbers, people, all right, that alone should just render the entire website just all that data they're showing is just useless. But that data is on mainstream TV influencing parents' decisions on their teens. Now, so next we get into there's the other problems is the survey didn't ask any transgender questions or about any other gender identity to validate their gender identity data. That is a major problem, and they've been doing this again for years. And now I'm going to explain how they probably manipulate the data on their side to match the YSRB because first off, the YSRB in their survey, it's unreliable because for specific suicidal ideation, because there's no follow-up questions to isolate the actual what was causing the feelings of suicide. And when you don't do that, that opens the door to mental illness, uh, among many other things. And I'll explain that in a second. But the, so the YSRB and any other research paper or survey that you read that's good will put this as limitations in the results. The fact that the Trevor Project doesn't do this at all, and the fact they take a number that they know is not accurate because they don't do this, there's no follow-up interviews with the YSRB. So they take an erroneous number, probably make their number erroneous in a way to match it, and then run with that, saying everything else is accurate. This is very deceptive, people. Moving on. Real quick, I just wanted to show you what I meant earlier about them not taking into account all the variables by doing follow-up interviews and just, using a devious number. So one is, of course, bipolar, among other mental illnesses, but bipolar is personal to me. I have bipolar 1. So between 20% and 65% of adults with bipolar experience onset in childhood. And when it's onset in childhood, it has a higher risk for suicidal behavior. That's a lot. That's just one illness. And another thing that would be reported in follow-up interviews is the acne. If a person is feeling suicidal, this would be accounted for, and they would find out, if it was influenced at all. There's a lot of things that can influence the results. The main thing is that you can't do what they're doing. It's not right. But for this video, I'll go into more detail in future videos. Pete, Chasten, Buttigieg, and the Trevor Project, you stand accused of knowingly misrepresenting data to the American people and keeping data hidden that would otherwise expose it as outdated and irrelevant. Guilty! Tweeting misleading suicide rates and data. Guilty! For years, falsifying data to garner public sympathy for personal gain. Guilty! Alright, thank you for watching. I have many more videos coming to expose liberal and Republican lies in the media. Stay tuned, Democrats. The detective is on the case.